evening and welcome. You're watching the 7 o'clock news on CNC3. I'm Ria Rambali.
I'm Ryan Bechu.
I am Jassi Maruk with sport.
And I'm Sigoni Mohammed with your weather report.
Let's tell you what's making the news tonight. HGC pulls the plug on its $3.4 billion housing initiative, ending a procurement process surrounded by controversy.
A vote of confidence for the top cop as the Homeland Security Minister praises Alistair Guevaro's first year in charge.
Protecting energy sector jobs, strengthening protections and benefits for domestic and vulnerable workers.
Ahead of Labor Day, the Prime Minister promises to stand with workers and expand opportunities for all.
Coming up in sport, Aliyah Alain snags 3 in the penultimate over. The Windies women beat Scotland and go 2 for 2 at the T20 World Cup.
Good news. Better weather is on the horizon. The challenge we still have to get through this evening first. I've got details on this and your holiday forecast in the weather report.
The Housing Development Corporation has officially cancelled the procurement proceedings for its controversial $3.4 billion housing project.
But one of the housing ministers tells CNC3 News that this was a strategic move to allow the process to advance, and he pledges that there will be no more issues moving forward.
Akash Samaru has more, including why some are still calling for the Office of Procurement Regulations ruling on the matter.
The plug has been pulled on the controversial multi-billion-dollar housing program. In a notice issued on June 17th, the HDC announced the immediate cancellation of procurement proceedings for its design, build, finance housing project for the construction of 3,700 housing units across Trinidad. Now, this comes 2 months after the Office of Procurement Regulation halted the award of the $3.4 billion in HDC contracts to 11 companies. In early April, the HDC named 11 contractors as intended recipients of various housing packages. The largest package, valued at just over $1 billion, was earmarked for Motilal Ramhit & Sons Contracting Limited. So why did the HDC scrap the entire process? Well, the HDC's notice was vague on that front, only saying that it determined that it is in the public interest and in accordance with the Procurement Act to discontinue the proceedings. We contacted all 3 ministers of housing, and it was Philip Alexander who responded. Asked why the process was scrapped, Minister Alexander said it was to clear the path for the way forward.
It was going to be a back and forth, and before it became something that was just going to drag on, we're not leaving it in limbo. We took the decision, look, this process, you're not happy with this process, we're going to pull it, we're going to come back at it, where any of the issues that you had a concern with before will not exist.
But Minister Alexander wants the public to know that this does not mean the end of the plan to build 3,700 homes for the public. And he said the projects will be retendered in the coming days or weeks at most.
When we return to tender, there will be nothing that anyone could find fault with of any kind.
CNC3 News asked if the OPR, which was investigating the process, issued any findings to the HDC. Minister Alexander said nothing has been sent to them. We tried contacting the OPR, but we were unsuccessful, at least up till news time. But Attorney at Law and former PNM Minister Randall Mitchell, who is one of the attorneys for social activist Wendell Eversley, who filed the complaint to the OPR, said this is not the end of the matter, as the OPR's investigation has not yet been concluded, and the public is entitled to know the outcome of that investigation to ascertain if any laws were broken. Meanwhile, former Housing Minister Camille Robinson-Regis said while the decision is welcomed, she argues that public resources were wasted and is calling for greater accountability, transparency, and a review of the roles played by key officials involved in the procurement process. Akash Samaru, CNC3 News.
An Arima plumber has won his legal battle with the HDC after being evicted from an apartment his father was attempting to buy before he died.
Steve Lawrence filed the lawsuit after he and his 3 children were removed from the unit on June 5th over $3,600 in arrears. On Saturday, Justice Frank C. Prasad granted an emergency injunction ordering the family's return and the restoration of their belongings.
When the matter came up for hearing, the HDC argued Lawrence had no agreement to stay after his father's death in 2021, but the corporation later entered a consent order allowing him to acquire the property through a rent-to-own arrangement once the arrears are cleared.
Justice C. Prasad approved the order but cautioned the HDC to follow proper eviction procedures, noting that Lawrence had not been served with a valid notice.
The Homeland Security Minister is pleased with Police Commissioner Alistair Guevaro's performance over the last year. Today marks 1 year Guevaro has been at the helm of the police service, despite calls for his resignation from the public over his handling of the Joshua Samaru police-involved shooting. Alexander gave the top cop a strong endorsement.
Excellent, extremely excellent. You should be given an additional grade for the efforts. You know why? Because people, a lot of your ex-persons talking about trust and confidence, but that's the same officer that took his initiative the other day when there was an issue with transportation and people jumping in the police vehicle and having good conversation. That speaks to leadership.
Guevaro was appointed as top cop on June 17th, with his role taking effect from June 18th, 2025. Following the successful completion of his 12-month probationary period, he is expected to be confirmed in the post until his retirement age at 60. He is currently 50 years old.
In an interview with Guardian Media today, Guevaro said despite the achievements and challenges of the past year, he's not daunted by what lies ahead as he remains firmly focused on building a better police service.
The top cop admitted it has been a very long and trying year for the TTPS, but reaffirmed his commitment to the job as he said nothing will deter him from doing what he was selected to do.
Criminologist Darius Figuera argues that successive states of emergency have reduced the police commissioner's capacity to maintain sustained attention on other serious categories of crime.
He says emergency policing frameworks have reshaped how the police service allocates resources across competing demands. Appointed in June 2025, Guevaro assumed leadership at a time when emergency policing frameworks were already shaping operational priorities across the organization. Over the past year, those conditions have remained central to how the TTPS has deployed resources and managed its workload. Analysts say this has raised questions about whether emergency-driven policing is strengthening crime control or limiting wider investigative capacity.
It makes the job harder because what happens in persistent states of emergency, back to back, very important aspects of the entire focus of the TTPS falls by the wayside.
Figuera says while the state of emergency has shaped operations, Guevaro's second year will also have to contend with long-standing structural challenges within the police service. He points to issues including command structures, discipline and internal integrity concerns that predate the current commissioner. He argues these institutional pressures remain central to how the organization functions beyond emergency policing. Former police commissioner Gary Griffith says public perception of the role is shaped as much by isolated incidents as by overall performance.
As it pertains to the Commissioner of Police, you can be doing the right things for several months, and just one mistake you make and people are going to remember you for it. I think we also need to appreciate the fact that Mr. Guevaro, he was just thrown into the wolves. It was a baptism of fire. To be a Commissioner of Police, you need to have at least 15 years of experience at a senior management level in law enforcement. I do not think he actually had that. He was like a superintendent, which is middle management.
Regional security expert Dr. Gavin Hira says assessments of the commissioner must be evidence-based and focused on measurable outcomes rather than perception.
He says Guevaro continues to operate in a complex security environment shaped by organized crime and transnational threats. Well, today we asked, how would you rate the police commissioner's performance over the last year?
This is what you had to tell us.
I would rate his performance excellent. He has been diligent, he has been hardworking, he has been policy-driven, he has adhered and make sure that our crime is reduced, and we need more. It must come down to the normal police officers.
Not happy. Because he's not performing well. I don't find he's doing a good job. I don't know. Yeah. A 5, because he isn't doing anything concerning the crime. So he has no good rating right now.
They can't be at every place at every time of a crime scene, but it's the detection and getting the criminals who do the crime. That's well so.
I think his performance in 1 year isn't up to standard. In that 1 year time span, we have had a lot of horrific crimes, and the lack of attention that he especially and the wider police force has paid towards it is abysmal.
I rate his performance as good because, trust me, to deal with the crime in Trinidad and Tobago is very hard. Right? Just knowing that different amount of immigrants coming into the country and they have no track of them, it's very hard to control crime. I find he's doing a great job.
Still to come in the news, after being stopped in Port of Spain, supporters of Joshua Samaru and Kaya Sealy now set to take their cause to Faizabad's Labor Day March.
New pressure on the House Speaker as opposition MPs demand action over allegations involving parliamentary staff.
Coming up in sport, 20 years on, two World Cup adversaries become friends.
We live in a world now, football is a sport that brings people together. And 20 years later, I was brought together with Peter and no love lost.
The best gifts for dads always cost less at Detour. This Father's Day, Detour gives you the best choice, quality, and value for dad. Infinity premium shirts and regular slim fit dress pants up to 20% off. Plus casual shirts, polos, jeans, pants, shorts, swimwear, and activewear up to 15% off. Plus weddings and grads are in the air. See Detour's finest selection of suits and blazers, including 6 grads and grooms combo offers now for $375. All footwear is up to 50% off. Plus most Van Heusen now 15% off. Only at Detour.
Reports of a teacher sick out across some primary and secondary schools have been dismissed by both the Education Ministry and the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association. Tutor President Crystal Ash says the union did not sanction any industrial action and has no information to suggest teachers participated in a so-called day of rest and reflection today. Education Minister Dr. Michael Dowlad also said he was unaware of any coordinated action. The low attendance reported at some schools coincided with the writing of national tests, where only Standard 1 and Standard 3 pupils were required to attend classes. Education officials say students from other year groups were not expected at many primary schools in both North and South Trinidad, contributing to the reduced numbers. Schools in North Trinidad also had low turnout because of maintenance works and national tests.
Supporters of Joshua Samaru and Kaya Sealy are expected to join tomorrow's Labor Day March in Faizabad after police blocked their recent protests in Port of Spain. The march is part of annual Labor Day celebrations. The event comes as government announces new legislation to protect workers' rights, but trade unions say issues like back pay, working conditions, and economic security remain unresolved. Tutor President Crystal Ash will be the first speaker at Avocat Junction, highlighting teachers' frustration over delayed payments and poor communication from government. The day will culminate with a rally at Charlie King Junction, where JTAM President Ansel Roger will deliver the feature address.
The Employers Consultative Association is calling for the restoration of the National Tripartite Advisory Council as a default mechanism for major labor and economic reforms. The ECA says meaningful social dialogue among government, employers, and workers is critical, especially as Trinidad and Tobago faces pressures from crime, skills mismatches, informality, and labor law reform. NTAC was launched in 2016 to facilitate talks among government, business, and labor unions. However, in 2021, it became dormant after major unions withdrew from the council. In its Labor Day message, the association warns that rushed changes without proper consultation weaken trust and argues that reforms must be shaped by evidence.
The government's move to restore the rights of the oilfield workers trade union following Petrotrin's 2018 restructuring sparked a heated debate in the lower house today.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar accused former Energy Minister Stuart Young of misleading the country about Petrotrin's closure and workers' rights, while Young warned the legislation could have serious financial and legal consequences.
Doris Polo reports.
Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar used her contribution to defend legislation that would recognize the Oilfield Workers Trade Union as the successor union for Heritage Petroleum, Paria Fuel Trading and the Garakara Refinery. She rejected claims by former Energy Minister Stuart Young that Petrotrin was merely restructured, insisting the rights of workers were stripped away when the company was dismantled.
Today you come to justify why you closed them, but not once did you tell us why you did not consider successorship rights for the workers as has been done in the past. You have the precedent.
Persad-Bissessar accused the previous PNM administration of attempting to silence the OWTU and said the bill seeks to restore collective bargaining rights that they lost after the 2018 restructuring.
I no longer want to know why the member on the other side thought it fit to shut down Petrotrin, because I say the truth will come to light one day. We want to know why did you bust the union? That's what you're doing. You're busting the union. That was union busting.
But Stuart Young warned that the legislation could have far-reaching consequences for Heritage and Paria, which he said have operated successfully since the restructuring. Young also argued that the bill infringes on workers' constitutional right to choose their representation by imposing the OWTU as the recognized majority union.
When this is passed today, whether you like it or not, the union representing you is the OWTU by imposition.
Young further suggested that the legislation's passage was an attempt to interfere with a legal matter currently before the Privy Council that deals with successorship. And while the OWTU was the recognized majority union for some of the bargaining units, Young questioned why the Estate Police Association and National Petroleum Staff Association were not also considered. In winding up the debate, Labour Minister Leroy Batiste dismissed arguments that the billions paid to former Petrotrin workers justified the restructuring. He also criticized Young's defense of the PNM's decision to restructure Petrotrin on the grounds that workers were given approximately $2.7 billion in severance.
All you understand was a 1% mentality. A 1% mentality suggests that these workers glad to be sent home because they share $2.7 billion. That's the life of the 1%. That's how they seize things. They don't understand that people lost their lives, that people took their lives because they were out of a job.
The bill was eventually passed with amendments, receiving 26 votes in favor, none against, and 13 abstentions. Doris Polo, CNC3 News.
With a second oil spill reported this month, one Venezuela says has reached its waters. The OWTU blames years of neglect under the former administration.
Its President General Ansel Roger said the government inherited an energy sector grappling with aging and deteriorating infrastructure. He accused the previous PNM administration of failing to adequately maintain Heritage Petroleum's pipeline network, alleging that some oil spills went underreported, while attention remained focused on the company's financial performance.
What this government met, who? This new Minister of Energy and the new board at Heritage met, aging infrastructure, neglected infrastructure, no maintenance and so on, while Heritage, they are declared a cosmetic profits at the expense of dealing with aging infrastructure and good maintenance and so on, and therefore the environment would have suffered.
Roger said the OWTU, now reinstated as a stakeholder in the energy sector, intends to play a role in rehabilitating critical infrastructure and reducing the risk of future environmental incidents.
He also referenced complaints raised by Venezuela about the oil spills and questioned the nature of discussions held in April between former Prime Minister Stuart Young and Venezuelan President Delcy Rodriguez.
Roger said the union is prepared to participate in any future engagements with Venezuela on the issue should the government request its involvement.
Now to tonight's Business Watch, a former energy minister says Trinidad and Tobago should prepare for lower energy prices soon.
Meanwhile, Visa announces a new VP for the Greater Caribbean market. Peter Christopher tells us more.
former Energy Minister Kevin Ramnarine says Trinidad and Tobago may need to adjust its energy strategy as energy prices are on the decline as Middle Eastern tensions continue to ease. Ramnarine, while speaking on CNC3's The Morning Brew, says prices are likely to revert to levels seen before the Middle East war.
There were some 10,000 oil wells that were shut in the Middle East. They will be coming back into production. So what this all means is that we're going to have lower prices in the foreseeable future.
He says this should impact the government's preparations for the budget later this year, as the prices will affect government revenues. Ramnarine also notes the global energy market landscape is changing as there have been signs of a major global energy transition, signaled by the rise of electric vehicles and increasing shifts to nuclear and renewable energy sources. He, however, says TNT's energy fortunes could recover in 2027 when gas production is expected to increase. Jorge Saloon has been announced as Visa's Vice President and Country Manager for the Greater Caribbean markets. In a release on Wednesday, the digital payment company says in this newly created role, Saloon will lead an expanded structure that brings together the Northern and Southern Caribbean, excluding Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, covering 22 markets across the region. Jorge Limos, Senior Vice President and Group Country Manager of Visa Caribbean and Central America, says Jorge Saloon's appointment reflects Visa's commitment to advancing the next phase of digital payments transformation across the Greater Caribbean. Saloon had served as country manager for Trinidad and Tobago and the Southern Caribbean prior to assuming the role, which is part of Visa's leadership transition following the retirement of Frank Gandarias, who led the English and Dutch-speaking Caribbean markets for Visa for nearly 3 decades. And now for a look at today's energy and foreign exchange prices. Peter Christopher, CNC3 Business Watch.
The Water and Sewerage Authority has launched a $20 million wastewater pipeline replacement project to bring relief to residents of Beetham Gardens. The project, officially unveiled today with the Ministry of Public Utilities, will replace almost 600 feet of compromised pipeline between 5th and 7th Streets. Using trenchless technology, a new 47-inch pipeline will be installed about 20 feet below the surface to minimize disruption. Minister in the Ministry of Public Utilities, Clyde Elder, says the initiative reflects government's commitment to improving infrastructure nationwide. WASA Acting CEO Dane Maharaj adds the project will help restore environmental compliance while easing long-standing sewage problems in the community. The work, being carried out by Sino Hydro Corporation Limited, is expected to take 9 months starting in mid-August.
Let's tell you what's still to come in the news. A new warning from police. Fraudsters are cashing in on the foreign exchange crisis with fake US dollars.
Well, the rain isn't finished with us just yet, but there is some good news in the outlook. I've got the details right after the break.
Hey, man. Where are you? Okay. You said 5 minutes. Anyone want dessert? Maybe he's stuck at the office?
Surprise!
Not yet, Carl.
Bro, I'm literally at the altar right now.
Relax. I'm almost there.
We're like the friend who isn't always late.
You have the rings.
CG United. Good like that.
Okay, let me see you, Cherry Hill. Yeah, now take it back. Let me see you rock off, shake off. Let me see you rock off. Let me see you kick right. Now step forward, now step back.
Lucozade, bring the energy. Unbeatable taste, new look.
Shake off. Let me see you rock off.
Super Dad, Super Savings. This Father's Day, celebrate with Dad approved deals at Passat's The Food Game. Get Coca-Cola soft drink, 2 liters, 2 bottles, now $18. Golden brand margarine, 225 grams, 4 sticks, now $20. Fresh Harvest soya bean oil, 1 gallon, just $64.99. Nestle Green Butterfly evaporated milk, 250 ml, 3 packs, now $18. Pork leg slice, now $18.99 per pound. Blue Still Waters for 10 milliliters, 5 cases, now $95. Nestle Full Cream Recon Milk, 1 liter, 2 packs, now $25. Ibis All-Purpose Flour, 5 kg, now $27. Cotonnier Bathroom Tissue, 24-pack, just $32. Clean and White Bleach, 3.7 liters, now $30. Crown Parboiled Rice, 8 kg, now $64.99. Swiss Lasagna, 400 grams, 3 packs, now $20. Plus, more deals in store. Sale ends 21st June or while stocks last.
Quality value, that's our way. The real Bursides, we're here to stay. The food king Bursides.
West Indian Traders will be kicking off our 30th anniversary by offering an IPO to the public.
West Indian Traders Limited is an exciting opportunity because you are getting the best of both worlds. You are getting an established business with 30 years in operation, but one that is still experiencing significant growth, and you don't get that every day. So for the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange SME market, this will be the first time investors will get exposure to the fast-moving consumer goods industry, which has a lot of growth potential in Trinidad and Tobago.
NCB Merchant Bank was chosen as the lead broker and arranger because of their expertise in the market and their high level of experience through their management staff.
The best time to start investing is yesterday. The second best time to start investing is today. And if you're going to start with West Indian Traders Limited.
We outside, holding our you sit red hot, but the drinks stay cold from a rooftop gem to the Sandy show. When the crew pull up, yeah, we know it's more. No pain, just vibes, no stress, no mood, hands in the air, friends all around. Hear that rhythm, feel that sound. Carrot, feel it on the beats in the street. Carrot, feel it every moment on repeat. Carrot, feel it when the night come alive. Carrot, yeah, hey, yeah. Carrot, feel it on the beats in the street. Carrot, feel it every moment on repeat. Carrot, feel it is the end of the day. Yeah, hey, yeah. Every laugh, every link up, every win we celebrate. From today into tomorrow, this is how we feel already. Yeah. Let me feel it. Let me feel it. Let me feel it.
With House Speaker Jagdeo Singh on personal leave, 2 opposition members of parliament are pressing for his intervention over what they describe as serious concerns involving parliamentary staff and leader of government business Barry Padarath. It comes days after the opposition leader and 12 other PNM MPs wrote to the speaker seeking clarity on reports of alleged bias and professional misconduct among parliamentary staff. The opposition says it learned of claims that microphones used by government members were being muted during House proceedings, but was never informed of any official complaints or investigations. The letter also raised concerns about an incident during last Friday's Standing Finance Committee proceedings, where Padarath was allegedly seen photographing a parliamentary staff member while the officer was carrying out official duties. Outside Parliament today, opposition MP Stuart Young said the issue should be receiving the highest level of attention.
The way the government has dealt with it, we've all seen, is attempt to come up with distractions and these types of things. But the Parliament staff, and further than the Parliament staff, members of the public service are expressing a lot of concern, and so are citizens. I'm hopeful that it will be addressed very soon.
Meanwhile, San Fernando East MP Brian Manning said the incident has left the opposition deeply troubled. He stressed that parliamentary staff should never feel pressured or intimidated while performing their duties and called for a swift response.
We think it was a very serious issue. I mean, the parliamentary staff shouldn't have to feel that they're being pressured to do their jobs or to not do their jobs. You know, and we were very, very disturbed by what happened in the chamber that evening, and we hope that something is done quickly about it.
House Speaker Singh was absent from today's parliamentary sitting.
Padarath has since rejected suggestions that he attempted to intimidate parliamentary staff during last Friday's chaotic Standing Finance Committee meeting, insisting instead that His actions were aimed at identifying individuals linked to what he believes is a pattern of bias against government MPs within Parliament. Secretary of Community Development and Social Protection Ian Pollard has been hospitalized. In a media release today, the Office of the Chief Secretary confirmed Pollard has been a patient at the St. Clair Medical Center for the past week. On behalf of the Tobago House of Assembly, Farley Augustine extended best wishes to Pollard for a full and speedy recovery. He assured the work of Pollard's division continues uninterrupted with support from Assistant Secretary Akel Franklin. Augustine urges the public to respect Pollard and his family's right to privacy. Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander is calling on police officers to seek help if they experience any signs of mental health issues. This follows the recent deaths of 2 officers on Tuesday. PC Johannes Joseph, who was attached to the interagency task force, allegedly took his own life at his home in Sangre Grande. In another incident this week, 32-year-old Raphael Joseph was found naked and unresponsive in his cell at the Eastern Correctional and Rehabilitation Center. Joseph had been awaiting extradition to the United States in connection with an unfolding narcotics trafficking investigation. However, Joseph's relatives have rejected claims that he reportedly killed himself while in the custody of prison officials. Responding to questions from CNC3 News outside the Red House today, Alexander said officers must first admit they need help.
That's something we identify. When I was there, we identified, and we often give the people an opportunity who seems to have an issue. We want them to realize they have an issue. The first thing you have to do is to identify that you have an issue, And once they do that, we often send them for sometimes outside help, if you want to call it that.
The minister said he could not comment on any rumors of foul play involving in either deaths. Time for the weather forecast with Sigoni Mohammed, and it's been a very long week for some of us. I know it's a short week for some. It's been a very long week. I look forward to enjoying that rain tonight that hopefully will come and put me soundly to sleep. But I mean, all eyes will be on the labor movement tomorrow, with it being Labor Day. What kind of weather can they expect, and what do people have to prepare for?
So definitely, if you're heading down to Faizabad and all of the other wonderful things that's happening wherever you're going, have the umbrella on hand. You do not want to be stuck out there without an umbrella. That's very important. So let's take a look at that forecast, because it's not just a Labor Day weekend. We also have Father's Day heading into this weekend as well. So let's take a look at what's happening there. But firstly, we need to check in with tropical rainstorm Arthur. It is now our first system, as we know, from the Atlantic that has developed over the last 24-hour period. And now it's just an area of rain moving through the north toward the northeast throughout the southeastern quadrant of the United States. The thing about this system is that right now it's just rain moving through the general area, widespread at this time, and it is likely as it moves into the weekend ahead, pushing into the Atlantic Ocean, it could definitely reform and become a tropical depression or even a tropical storm again. So only time will tell what the weather will bring with this particular feature impacting the United States at this time. For everybody else, there's not a lot going on. There's no significant development happening in the Atlantic, and therefore a quiet next 7-day period for the general area at this time. What we do have to focus on, especially for those of us in the Eastern Caribbean, is tropical wave activity. Right now we have the tail end of a tropical wave that's impacting Trinidad and Tobago. Another tropical wave is going to be moving into our area as the week progresses into the weekend, and that means more rain, more isolated thunderstorm activity, and a lot of cloudiness as we go through this forecast period. So let's take a closer look here. Trinidad and Tobago right now covered with cloud. As we see that evening time pulling into the forecast period, we still have areas that will experience showers and thunderstorm activity, especially into the midnight period. So I know some of you are looking forward to that rain shower activity overnight, and it is coming with cooler temperatures as well, even into tomorrow morning. If you have an early morning commute, you'll be looking out for some significant heavier downpours, and as the day progresses, we could see some warming up, a little bit of sunshine returning into the forecast. So what what we notice here is that we do have thunderstorm activity in a few areas, especially for South Trinidad. So all of you heading down to Labor Day, hey, have the umbrellas on hand. Again, look out for the possibility of street flooding, which will be localized. As the weekend progresses, another tropical wave comes in by Sunday, and that's where we see some more wet weather, and it sticks with us. It will linger well into midweek of early next week. So a lot of wet weather happening in this forecast for Tobago. Variably cloudy skies tomorrow, and again, we do get some warming up, a little bit of sunshine, but the showers and thunderstorms return on Father's Day, unfortunately. So look out for that by early next week. Again, we get a lot of breezy conditions turning windy at times, and we'll see temperatures pretty much staying comfortable during this forecast period. If you're heading offshore over the next few days, we have conditions here that will vary, especially for those of you looking to get into the open waters. Our wind direction will be shifting from time to time, and our wind speeds will be building, but most importantly, nearshore areas will see slightly choppy to choppy conditions, and with it, you need to exercise caution, especially where we have those scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms in the picture, and those gusty winds that may just accompany that. Please be careful whatever you're doing onshore and offshore into this long weekend ahead.
Yeah, we talk about Labor Day. You know, many years ago I covered a Labor Day, had to walk with an umbrella, but because of the blistering hot sun, there was no rain on that Labor Day. But then I always think it's because of climate change. Things have changed.
This one don't have the umbrella.
Yeah, and then happy Father's Day in advance to all our daddies, wishing you lots of great weather. If you can't get it, pamper and lots of football. All right, thank you so much, Sigoni. We'll still to come in the news. The man behind the 600-pound pumpkin is back in the spotlight, this time with an enormous watermelon fresh from his garden.
What if we each took one small action today that could have big impact tomorrow? What if one family took a stance to reduce waste in our landfills? What if one school made a choice that could lead to a greener Trinidad and Tobago? When you recycle glass, you create jobs, reduce waste, save resources, and help preserve our environment. Glass bottles and jars are 100% recyclable and can be reused indefinitely. Recycle your glass and join the Glass Loop movement today.
You shop it, you stock it, now it's time to own it. Introducing the West Indian Traders Limited Initial Public Offering. Your opportunity to become a shareholder in the company that delivers the brands you know and love. Offer